Hi everyone. My topic of presentation is Airbnb booking analysis. So let's just move on to our table of content. So first we have introduction of Airbnb. Second we have data summary and variables. Third we have exploratory data analysis. Fourth we have challenges faced and conclusion. So while talking about the introduction, so Airbnb dataset was collected in 2019 NYC, and it is having a 4,900 observations in it with 16 columns. It is a mix of categorical and numerical columns. Our main objective will be to analyze the host areas, price, reviews, location, etc. But it is not limited. So we have tried to explore every possible important feature, important analysis topic. So let's just move to the like how the data is distributed. So we have categorical columns as name, host name, neighborhood group, room type. These are categorical columns, and unique columns such as which are having unique values such as ID, host IDs, and we have date column like last review, and we have numerical column latitude, longitude, price, minimum night, number of reviews per month, calculated host listing count, availability is 65. So let's just quickly move on to the what we mean by this variable. So ID is it's kind of a unique ID for house and apartment, and name is the name of listing or for house and apartment. Host ID, which is host ID is a government approved ID for each individuals who have rented their apartments on the Airbnb. And host name is the corresponding host host names for the host ID, which is the name of the individuals who have rented their apartment on the Airbnb website. We have neighborhood groups. Neighborhood groups are the cluster of neighborhoods in the areas. These are about 5 boroughs in the streets. Neighborhood is like a subset of neighborhood groups. So talking about latitude is a measurement of distance for north or south of the equator. Longitude, it is the measurement of east or west of the prime meridian. So room type, there are mainly there are three types of three categories of the room type. uh, Entire house or apartment, private room, shared room. Then we have price column. Price column is calculated in dollar, which is basically calculated as a minimum price for minimum per night. So then we have next column as minimum nights. So minimum night, it is a criteria for booking, or the guest have to pay for book that house or apartment. Number of reviews for each host submitted by the guest. So last review is the latest review that is submitted by the guest as a feedback. And reviews per month is like a number of review host get per month. So calculated host listing count, it is the amount of listing per host. Availability is 65, it is an indicator of the total number of days when the listing is available during the whole year. So talking about the exploratory data analysis process, so we have tried to follow these steps like acquire and loading the data, understanding the variables, cleaning data set, exploring and visualizing data, analyzing the relationship between the variables. So the types of graph that we have used for the data visualization is count plot, bar plot, scatter plot, heat map, and box plot. The Python libraries that we use for the graphs are matplotlib, cbound, klib, numpy, pandas, foolean. So matplotlib and cbound is basically used for simple plottings, and klib is basically used for correlation plot. Pandas is basically used for well functioning of the data frames. Foolean is basically used for that we have used for getting the geographical map using the geographical data like latitude and longitude. So The question that we have tried to answer in this project are like highest number of apartments owned by host. Second question is top 10 neighborhood having the highest number of apartments. Question 3 is top 3 neighborhood having highest price in the each neighborhood groups. Fourth, the relation between neighborhood and and reviews. And fifth is learning from location. Sixth is room type distribution over the location. Seventh is price distribution of room type. Fifth, eighth is top 5 hosts which received highest number of reviews. Ninth is average price preferred by customers. Tenth is average price preferred to get good reviews, good number of reviews. Top 10 is 11th is top 10 busiest host. So first thing first, we have started our project by checking the null values first. So when we check the null values, we saw that name and host ID, name and host name is having some null values, and most of the null values is coming from last review and reviews per month. Rest other columns is not null. So we can see that reviews and last review and reviews per month is having like about 10,000 null values, which is a bit large. So what we did is when we tried to get when we try to do analysis on the basis of this column, so we just remove this null values for our analysis part. So we just quickly see the correlation. For the next step, we just see the correlation between the columns. For the first, we saw that the host ID and ID is having some correlation, but that doesn't make any sense because connection of host ID and ID, correlation of host ID and ID is spurious correlation actually. So reviews per month and number of reviews is having some correlation, positive correlation. So which is obvious, pretty obvious, which like we can see it seems very obvious because reviews per month uses number of reviews for calculation. So that is why we must have like a high positive correlation between these two variables. So on the other hand, we have number of reviews and ID which are connected, which is also like spurious correlation because it doesn't make any sense. Number of reviews and IDs are connected. Yeah. So moving ahead. Yeah, the next step that we followed is describing our numerical data, numerical columns. So as we can see that the price column is having the minimum price 0, which obviously looks very strange because because which owner would like to like have a price 0 for this for renting his apartment. So it is pretty shocking for me to for the price column is being minimum price is 0. So when we try to check about the minimum price, which how many observations that are having price 0. So it was about 16 to 18 columns which are having price 0. So what I did was I just filled those zeros with appropriate price value using the respective price in the in the room type, like in the price for the average price for the entire home, the entire home or apartment, and the price average price for private room, and similarly for average price for shared room. So for the next, we can see that availability 365 is also having minimum as 0, and 25% of the data percentile of the data is also having 0. So which is obviously pretty shocking. So when I checked about how much percentage of data is having availability 365 as 0, so it was about 36% of the data is having availability 365 as 0. So I just wanted to dig much more about like what is the possible reason for having availability 65 as 0. So I just check the last review for those columns which are having and group by using the last review. So you can see that in 2000, the last review was given in 2017, 2016, so which is very like 2 3 years back, and these are and then and about 85 7 85 73 67 and 61 uh, data is having availability as zero respectively for the 2007, for the columns having last review in 2017 and 2016, and there are many other like last review which is in 2018 also. So this might be probably because there are some there will the host they have like the host they are not more in business with the Airbnb. They must have stopped their business with the Airbnb. So that is why most most probably we are having the availability 365 as zero. So moving to the next slide. So we have highest number of apartments. So we have the first question: highest number of apartment owned by host. We can see that by the left plot we have Michael is having the highest number of apartment, but as we can know that the name could be common for different host IDs. So this is why I tried to plot using the host ID, and we got to know that there are 320 for the host ID 21951 7861 is having 327 apartments. But if you check for the Michael, it is 424 apartments. So basically, uh, we can easily interpret that Michael name is having common, like multiple. There can be multiple hosts which are having having name Michael. Similarly for the rest others. So that is why it is best to answer with the host ID, which cannot be common. So when I check about whose ID belong to 219517861. So it was Sonder NYC, which is having the highest number of apartments. Yeah. So, second question, that is top 10 neighborhood having highest number of apartments. So we can see in the Manhattan we have mostly the highest number of apartments listings, and approximately equal in for Brooklyn. But for Queens, Bronx, and Staten Island, it is pretty less. And similarly for top neighborhoods having highest number of listing are basically Williamsburg, Bedford, Harlem. So these are the neighborhoods which are having the highest number of apartments. So moving ahead, we have a top question three, like top three neighborhood having maximum price in each neighborhood group. So we can see in Manhattan that Upper West Side is having the highest price, 10,000, and Staten Island we have top three prices. Randall Manor is having 5,000. In Bronx we have Riverdale is having $2,500. In Queens we have Astoria is having $10,000. In Brooklyn we have Greenpoint, which is having $10,000. So we can conclude that in Upper West Side for Manhattan we have highest price, but when we see for the Staten Island, it the price is bit less. Like highest price is less, like 5,000. It might be plus. It is basically due to like in Manhattan we have more number of listings, so possibly it can have a different variation in the price column. So that is why we are having high price as like 10,000, and for Staten Island we have 5,000, and similarly for Bronx. So yeah. So fourth question, we have relation between the neighborhood and reviews. So we can see that for Bedford students, we are having highest number of reviews and as well as number of highest number of reviews per month. So for the fifth part, we have to like fifth question, we have to uh, Next question is like learning from prediction. So basically, it is for location what we can analyze for location. Using the scatter plot, we have tried to draw a plot. It is below, but in above, we have tried to plot it using a Folium library, which give a good visualization of the data. I cannot zoom into it, but for the scatter plot, we can clearly see that as Manhattan is having the highest number of listing, so and also the area is not too much big as compared to others, so it is a more dense kind of thing. So Manhattan is more dense, like it is a maybe the busiest city where people mostly travel. So for the sixth question, we have room type distribution over the location. Basically, the room type that is distributed over the location, you can see that entire mostly we have a entire home or apartment, and private rooms, and we have very less shared rooms. So this plot gives the analysis of how this private room, entire home apartment or shared room is distributed over the uh, different neighborhood groups. So we can see the more or less it is having the same is maintaining the same ratio of that we saw earlier in the previous slide. Uh, yeah, like this. Entire home or apartment is having highest, and private room is also approximately equal, but shared room is less. So this is this is more similar, like they are maintaining the same ratios. So this is more or less having more same ratios. So for the next part, we have a seventh question, like price distribution across the room types. So we can clearly see that there are many outliers for the price column for each room type category. So let's just take why there is so much high price, and what probably the reason. So when I checked about the top three hosts which are having the highest price, so basically I have checked their host name, reviews per month, and last review availability and neighborhood group. So we can see that the reviews per month is also not good, and the last review is also 2 3 years back, and availability is also zero. So it's kind of like keeping the availability zero, which also is not beneficial. If it assuming that this might not be the busiest host, if it is having availability zero, then what is the benefit of having availability zero and keeping such a high price? So if I was a person of Airbnb site, so I would have suggested to keep an average price for the room for maintaining the good reviews. So for the eighth question, we have a, top five hosts who have received the highest number of reviews. So more or less, we can see that Maya, Brooklyn, Breakfast, Daniel, Yuzo, Ako, and Brady is having a top five highest number of reviews. So there's not much difference about, like, there's not much significant difference among this. So for the ninth question, we have average price for each room type in each neighborhood group. So we can see that the price is uh, is higher for the entire home apartment, and for private room and shared room, it is like more or less having similar. But for Manhattan, we have like a little bit high price for a private room rather than on comparing with shared room. So so we can for the 10th question, we have average price preferred to get a good number of reviews. Actually, this is a bit modified question. because what is the benefit of having a calculating average price normally, but we could use it in a business way, in a way to increase our number of reviews actually. So this is why I have put a discussion on this panel. So we can calculate the average price preferred to get a good number of reviews. So basically for this I have selected the top uh, selected the top data, selected data which are having the top number of reviews, and based on this, I have calculated the average price. So this gives me a proper analysis of like what should be the average price should be preferred to maintain a good number of reviews. So we can clearly see that there is a bit difference from the previous plot. As you can see from in the previous plot that entire home apartment for the Bronx is having more or less 125 average price is 125, but if you see for this plot for the good review one, so we can see that it is between 175, you can see 85, approximately 85. So the price get reduced, so this is what it makes the difference. So it is best to keep the price uh, in this range for the good number of reviews. And for the 11th question, we have a top 10 busiest host. So yeah, so for the 11th question, we have a top 10 busiest hosts. This was the most trickiest question. Actually, if we saw, we have tried to figure it out the metrics, special metrics for this to calculate the busiest host. So what we have done is first of all, we can see that there can be many columns which can contribute for this question. So basically, we can some people can say number of reviews can work. Some people can say availability can work. So after having so much of discussion, we are able to figure it out of metrics. So I will just explain the metrics. Like what I have did is like I have converted available. First, I have calculated the available months by converting the available days, like by dividing the available days divided by 365 by 12. And similarly, I have tried to get the total possible bookings using available days divided by minimum nights. So this will give me a estimation of total possible bookings, and we will like we will compute the estimated booking, and comparing the both estimated bookings and total possible bookings, we can generate a new metrics like occupancy, which can be useful for like saying that uh, how much occupied it is, and how this is how we can answer how much busiest the host is. So for estimated booking, I have converted reviews per month into available months, and for occupancy percentage, we have divided estimated bookings divided by total possible bookings into 100. So using this matrix, we have generated the top 10 busiest hosts, and we can see that Monsef, Sarah, Wiblain, Dan, Emily Wills, Daniel, Laden and Bear, Martin and Steve, Jessica and Ash is having like occupancy 100%. So that means like these are these are the hosts which are having the which are busiest. There can be many more. So I have just plotted the top 10 busiest hosts. So this was the trickiest part. So talking about the challenges I have faced. So while doing the analysis, we have found that 36% of the data was having 0% availability. So we couldn't figure it out like whether it belongs to. There can be possibly two reasons, like the apartment or the listing, maybe the host may have stopped their business for the Airbnb. This is why probably they can have availability zero, or possible reason we can have like there can be really the host is so busy that zero he is available 0 days in the whole 365 in a whole year. So we don't have much information about to like get to differentiate between these two reasons. So this was the trickiest part, and also we have I also face a little bit difficulty in calculating the metrics for uh, busiest host. So thank you for listening my presentation. Thank you. Thank you everyone.